Hello and welcome. You're watching Tech24. I'm Julia Seeger. How can we ensure that the internet remains an open and safe place for everyone? We'll ask that question to Konstantinos Komaitis from the Internet Society. The NGO has just launched a new toolkit to empower people and protect the founding principles of the web. And in Test 24, we'll try an exoskeleton that is meant to relieve lower back pains, which have become a leading cause of work disruption of our century. Now, the challenge of providing medical care during the COVID-19 pandemic has opened up the market for companies that offer services in Africa, ranging from telemedicine and drone deliveries of medical goods to online purchases of medicine. Helium Health is one such inspiring example, as Catherine Kadir-Clifford explains.
This couple was faced with a dilemma when their son fell ill. They were reluctant to bring him to a clinic in the capital, Abuja, for fear of catching COVID-19. Over the phone, the doctor suggested a video consultation. The diagnosis: a mild case of diarrhea.
I made a call through and they gave me this alternative. Oh, you can actually consult with a doctor via telemedicine. I said, why not? So I tried it, and since then I've never looked back.
The pandemic has brought a surge in changes to the Nigerian medical system and opportunities for companies like this one. Helium Health brought forward the launch of its online consultation platform by several months to meet ever-increasing demand.
People have seen, especially in our communities and Nigeria, the inadequacies of our healthcare system. And the only way that we can actually be able to sort of overcome or even contain the virus is actually having health tech solutions that will help you manage your COVID response.
Helium Health has raised some $10 million from investors, including Chinese giant Tencent. On a wider scale, some $100 million were injected into African health tech companies during the first half of 2020. Among them, this startup, which aims to give struggling pharmacies access to low-cost medication. The financial boost also helped California drone firm Zipline to expand from Rwanda to Ghana. Its drones are specialized in the transportation of medical equipment to remote areas.
The African tech scene is buzzing with innovations that are impacting various sectors. And to speak more about it, let's welcome our in-house expert, Dhananjay Kadalkar. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Julia.
First and foremost, we're going to talk about an application that is facilitating cancer care in Nigeria. It's called Oncopadi.
That's right. Oncopadi is not only facilitating but also simplifying cancer care. It is Africa's first digital cancer clinic. Now, users can book consultations with cancer specialists either through telephone or via video conferencing. Doctors, in turn, can register their services on this platform, and users can also buy medicines using the online health shop or book blood tests or even X-ray scans. Now, though the application right now is focused mostly on cancer, there are other specialists dealing with, for example, mental health as well as optical care.
Okay, so that's for the health sector, but there's also drones who are being used to help farmers this time. So we're going to travel to Senegal.
That's right. A Senegalese-based company called Dictaf Corporation is using drones for imagery, so they can detect if plants are suffering from any diseases. The same company has also launched a service called SOS Agri, which allows farmers to contact agricultural experts in case they are facing any problems. Now, farmers can face multiple problems such as pest menace, weather-driven factors, or even plant diseases. So once an SOS is sent or a call is made on this platform, one of the many agricultural experts can attend to these problems and solve them and protect the crops. Now, this can be used, of course, via internet, or also for farmers who don't have access to internet, they can use it with their mobile phones through the USSD technology.
Well, thank you very much, Dhananjay Kadalkar. And moving on to a whole other story. The internet is like a sixth continent, and while it was first created to try to connect people across the globe, some are now worried it has become the splinternet, as its founding principles of openness are now under attack. Indeed, regulations imposed worldwide are changing the game, but an NGO called the Internet Society is fighting to ensure the web remains an open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy place for everyone. Well, to speak more about it, I'm joined by Konstantinos Komaitis, the Senior Director for Policy Development and Strategy for the Internet Society. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, and hello.
So, why is the Internet under threat, and how is your organization helping?
So what we're seeing, especially over the past couple of years, is an intense regulatory activity that is increasingly centered around this idea of sovereignty. From Europe to the US to India and Brazil, we observe a larger disturbing trend where governments directly interfere with the internet, attempting to score short-term political points without regard to the long-term damage that this can have to the internet. And much of the problem here is the fact that a lot of regulators are trying to address societal issues through technical fixes, and that rarely works. So what we're trying to do here with the Internet Way of Networking Impact Assessment Toolkit is help governments and policymakers make informed, proportional, and focused regulatory choices.
So you just mentioned it. Your NGO has launched this sort of, toolkit to stop these policymakers from breaking the internet. How exactly does it work? And isn't it up to us users to, take matters into our own hands?
So a little bit about the toolkit itself. The Internet Way of Networking Toolkit is a set of fundamental principles needed to protect and enhance the future of the Internet. It describes the ideal form of the global Internet and the culture that it embodies. So the fact that the Internet is universally acceptable, decentralized and open, and facilitating the free and efficient flow of knowledge, ideas, and information. So for the Internet Society, this toolkit is part of a bigger conversation about understanding and protecting the Internet. Similar to what is happening in environmental or health regulation, for instance, we believe that Internet regulation must include an impact assessment analysis. And this toolkit helps do that. When it comes to users, I think that we all have a role to play, and our role is to demand for regulation that does not create unintended consequences that end up harming the Internet. And one of the problems here is that I think we have sort of taken for granted the internet, and it is not for granted. We really need to fight for it.
Now, the Belarus government has reportedly cut off civilian access to parts of the internet due to protests over a disputed election. How can this toolkit help in this particular situation?
So amongst other things, one of the things that this toolkit does quite quietly and gracefully, if you want, is calling such things out. It provides an additional layer of accountability. Let me explain briefly what I mean. As we said, the idea is to provide a good starting point for policymakers to conduct an impact analysis. If through this impact analysis, policymakers still decide to go with policies that harm the internet, intentionally or unintentionally, doesn't really matter, then the toolkit can provide this checkpoint for saying, you knew that this X policy had the possibility of causing this X consequence. So why did you do it?
Konstantinos Komaitis from the Internet Society, thank you very much indeed for that. And we're going to move on now to Test 24. It's often called the disease of the century. Lower back pain is the leading cause of work disruption and activity limitation in the world. And this is why the Exoskeleton by Japet that we have here on set has a major impact in the workplace, both for employees and companies alike.
Well, Julia, if you ever had any back pain, you would know that the best relief for back pain, lower back pain particularly, is to lie down. That's because there's no load on the spine. Now, that's exactly what this exoskeleton does. It lifts the upper part of the body so that there's very little load on the lower back. This it does with the help of 4 motors. Now, these motors can be triggered by just by pressing a button. And already I can feel that the top part of my body has been lifted a bit, and there's less stress on my lower back. And that's how it relieves, or it provides instant relief to back pain. Now, as you mentioned, this has been used by employees in different companies where there's a lot of repetitive motion. So if you are constantly bending down and picking up something, or where there is a possibility of lifting heavy load. So this belt or this exoskeleton has been used in companies like Renault, in SNCF, and also interestingly in a hospital in Paris. They have been used by nurses during the COVID-19 crisis.
pandemic.
Exactly. Now this is one exoskeleton. We have another exoskeleton. It's for ski lovers. It's made by Ski Mojo. So the principle is very simple. Unlike this skeleton, which is powered by battery and it has 4 motors, this is a spring mechanism. So all you have to do is hook the bottom part of this exoskeleton to the ski boots, and you wear a strap and you attach the top end to it. And once it's done, the load, almost 30% of the load that would normally come on your knees, yeah, this particular exoskeleton takes it. And so people who have bad knees can use it for skiing, and also those who want to ski for a longer period of time, because it also relieves pressure from the muscles, can use.
Anybody who has skied knows that, knee injuries are very, very common.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Dhananjay Khatalkar. It actually brings us to the end of this week's edition of Tech 24. You can watch it again on our website, france24.com. See you soon.